Welcome to Old Rare Files. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe, become a member, and like our content.
Look at this soldier. He is caught in the middle of World War II. He is holding a small crucifix in his hands, and he is crying. This is the reality of war. The movies show heroes making brave speeches, but the truth is pure terror. He has seen things that no human being should ever see. His mind is breaking. He is holding that cross because it is the only thing left that makes sense. Millions of young men were broken exactly like this and never fixed. Men are smashing heavy hammers into a concrete wall. This is the Berlin Wall. The division between East and West Germany is finally breaking. For decades, that concrete meant death. If you tried to cross it, the guards would shoot you in the back. Families were torn apart for generations. But on this night, the power shifted. The Soviet machine was failing. Ordinary men with tools destroyed a symbol of total oppression. Freedom is never given freely. It always has to be taken by force. Men stand together wearing heavy masks over their faces. The warning sign is perfectly clear. Wear a mask or go to jail. This was the Spanish flu pandemic. The years between 1918 and 1920 were a nightmare. Millions were choking to death in their own beds. The government did not ask nicely. They forced compliance under threat of prison. History has a habit of repeating its darkest chapters. We look at this old photo and realize we have walked this exact road before. Look at the tall man in the crowd. He stands above the soldiers and ordinary citizens around him. The country is tearing itself apart in the American Civil War. Death is everywhere. Yet Abraham Lincoln is standing right out in the open. There is no bulletproof glass. There is no massive security detail. He is completely exposed to the crowd. He knew the danger, but he also knew the people needed to see him. Sometimes a leader has to stand in the open and risk everything just to keep a broken nation together. Look at this boy. He is walking alone down a massive city street. It is the early 20th century in the United States. He is carrying newspapers. He should be in school. He should be playing. But childhood did not exist for boys like him. He had to work. If he did not sell those papers, his family might not eat. The street is cold and unforgiving. He is entirely alone in a world built for tough men. Millions of boys lost their childhoods to those city streets. Look at where these men are standing. They are on a suspended wooden platform. There is nothing but empty air below them. They are building a massive steel structure high above the city. One slip means a very long fall and a sudden end. There are no safety harnesses. There are no safety nets. They went to work every morning knowing they might not come home. The great modern cities were built by men who traded their lives for a paycheck. This machine has a face. It is an experimental humanoid robot from the 20th century. The metal structure is heavy and awkward. Its movements were slow and limited. It looks ridiculous now, but back then, it was terrifying. It was the moment humans started trying to build life out of steel. They were crossing a line. We are surrounded by artificial intelligence today. But this strange metal man is where the nightmare actually started. They built it to serve. They never wondered what would happen if it refused. This object was pulled from the dirt. It is an ancient figurine depicting a human. But look closely at its features. The head can be removed. The eyes are bulging out. The shape of the skull is entirely wrong. Archaeologists say it was for a ritual, but they do not actually know. Why would an ancient person carve something that looks so inhuman? What exactly were they looking at when they made this? Some things found in the earth raise questions we are not ready to answer. A man is standing in a field in England. He is holding a human-shaped scarecrow, but it is painted to look exactly like a skeleton. It is early in the 20th century. The image is deeply disturbing. Farmers needed to keep birds away from their crops, but they created something straight out of a nightmare to do it. Imagine walking past this field at night. Imagine seeing that white skeleton moving in the wind. Sometimes the solutions of the past were far more terrifying than the problems. A giant egg-shaped figure sits on a brick wall. A child stands nearby looking up at it. It is supposed to be Humpty Dumpty, but early 20th century costumes were terrifying. The face on that egg is deeply unsettling. It looks more like a monster than a beloved character. Children back then were exposed to some very dark imagery. The line between entertainment and horror was very thin. The child does not look happy. The child looks very afraid. And who could blame them? This young man is staring right through the camera. His face is smooth. His expression is completely natural. He looks like any boy trying to find his way in the world. But this is Bob Dylan. He is standing at the very edge of history. In a few short years, his words will become anthems. His voice will define a massive cultural revolution. But in this specific second, he is just a guy with a guitar and an unknown future. History rarely announces itself in advance. A young man stands on a very normal residential street. There are ordinary houses behind him. You would walk right past him. But look at his stance. Look at his presence. This is Charlie Chaplin. He has not yet conquered the world of silent film. The massive fame and the legendary characters are still waiting for him. But the spark is already there. You can see the confidence in a man who is about to change entertainment forever. Every legend has to start on an ordinary street. Look at her face. The camera caught her before the makeup was finished, before the perfect hair, before the styling that would define a generation. This is just a young woman sitting in a chair. Soon she will step into the light. She will become an icon. People will worship her image for decades. But right here in this quiet room, she is still just herself. The world does not know her yet. In a few moments, the transformation will be complete. The girl in the chair will disappear forever. Look at this man and woman. They are holding a pitchfork and posing exactly like the famous painting American Gothic. The man is actually Grant Wood. He's the artist who painted it. It is the 1940s. The painting became the ultimate symbol of the hardworking American spirit. But the reality is strange. It was just a painting of his sister and a dentist. A totally staged scene. Yet the public needed a symbol so badly, they turned an ordinary picture into a national religion. Look at the man on the right. He is sitting quietly next to a young girl. She is wearing a 1973 tour shirt for Led Zeppelin. The man looks like a tired traveler, but he is Robert Plant. He is the voice of the biggest band on earth. At this exact moment, millions of people want to be near him. The backstage area should be chaos. Instead, there is only this quiet scene. The music industry is built on noise and wild legends. But sometimes the reality was just a quiet room and a moment of rest. Look at this massive web of metal. Men are climbing the ladders inside the structure. This is the skeleton of the USS Akron. It was a massive airship. At the time, it was an absolute miracle of engineering. They were building a flying city inside a gigantic hangar. It seemed like the perfect future of travel. But these metal giants were incredibly fragile. The dream of the great airships ended in fire and twisted metal. It is a haunting reminder that technology does not always win. A massive crowd is gathered on the tarmac. Workers and visitors are looking up at a giant machine. This is the unveiling of the Boeing 727. The American aviation industry was unstoppable. Commercial flight was changing the planet. This plane could move people across the world faster than ever before. But these massive machines also shrank the world. They made the distances disappear. The mystery of the faraway places was gone. We gained speed, but we lost the sheer size of the earth. A line of early automobiles moves down the street. Cyclists and pedestrians surround them. The crowd is massive. This is one of the very first car parades. Today, cars are boring. We ignore them. But to these people, those machines were magic. They were loud and they smelled like burning oil. They were looking directly at the future. In a few short decades, those slow machines would completely destroy the quiet streets. The modern world was arriving right there in the smoke. A man is standing next to a massive wall of metal and wires. He is adjusting valves and gauges. This is an early electrical facility. The power flowing through those machines could kill him in an instant. This was a time of rapid and terrifying industrial expansion. The world was demanding more power every single day. Men like him had to control forces they barely understood. There were very few safety rules. The modern world was built by men working inches away from sudden death. The brick wall is covered in aggressive spray paint. The word "free" is written in massive letters. There are symbols of protest everywhere. This is the United States in the 1960s. The country was at war abroad and at war with itself at home. Young youths were bleeding in the streets for civil rights. The police were cracking heads. That wall was not vandalism. It was a desperate scream. The people were demanding a voice in a system that wanted them silent. Two women are holding drinks and smoking. Their shirts clearly say USA Drinking Team Died. This was taken in the early 20th century. It seems like a modern joke. But during Prohibition, alcohol was completely illegal. People were going to prison for a single drink. Wearing a shirt like that was a direct middle finger to the government. It was an act of public rebellion. They were daring the authorities to do something about it. Sometimes a joke is actually a quiet act of defiance. A man and a woman are kissing in a crowded room. It is the United States in the mid-20th century. But look at the background. Someone is pointing directly at them. The tension is obvious. Public affection was deeply judged. Society had very strict rules about how people should behave. That pointing finger is a warning. It is the eye of the community enforcing the rules. The couple is wrapped in their own world, but the society around them is watching their every move. The fighter is flat on the canvas. The other man stands over him. The crowd stretches as far as the eye can see. This is an outdoor boxing match from the early 20th century. There's no mercy here. These fights were brutal and bloody affairs, and the public loved it. They gathered by the thousands to watch two men destroy each other. Modern society likes to pretend it is civilized, but we have always had a deep hunger for violence. The player in the number 10 jersey throws his arms in the air. The play was successful. The crowd in the arena is absolutely electric. This is the raw energy of early basketball. The shorts are different. The shoes are different. But the pure aggression of the game is exactly the same. Sports have a strange power over us. Thousands of people in that room forgot all their problems just to watch a man throw a ball. It is a very human kind of magic. A line of women pushes heavy wooden barrels across a factory floor. The work is brutal. It is the early 20th century. Before the major wars, this kind of heavy physical labor was strictly for men. But when the men vanished, the factories still needed to run. These women stepped into the smoke and the grease. They proved they could handle the hardest jobs on earth. They built the machines and moved the freight. History books often focus on the generals, but these women kept the world spinning. Light cuts through the darkness. It pours down from the high windows of a church in Jerusalem. The year is somewhere in the early 20th century. Worshippers are gathered below. The contrast is sharp and dramatic. It looks almost staged, but this is a real moment of deep faith. The world outside those walls was changing rapidly. Empires were collapsing. Wars were brewing. Yet inside this room, time stands completely still. People have sought comfort in the exact same light for thousands of years. Look at this shape in the snow. A person is wrapped in heavy layers of animal fur. They are sitting completely alone in the extreme cold of the Arctic. It is the early 20th century. This is not a winter vacation. This is raw survival. The temperature out there kills very quickly. One mistake means death. The isolation is total. There is no rescue coming. The human body was not designed for this environment. But somehow people found a way to live at the very edge of the world. Look at this woman. She is sitting at the back of a boat. The open sea stretches out behind her. It looks like a simple vacation photo from the 20th century. A moment of total calm. But images like this hide a deeper truth. Before commercial flights became common, the ocean was the only way across the world. Leaving home meant leaving for a long time. She is staring into the water. We do not know if she is leaving everything behind or finally returning home. History is full of these quiet moments. Two children are playing in a dirt yard. They are holding the flag of the United Kingdom. It is early in the 20th century. The scene seems completely innocent. A simple childhood game. But empires are built on these small moments. Long before they could understand war or politics, these children were holding national symbols. They were learning what they belonged to. Millions of children just like them would grow up and take that same flag into the worst conflicts in human history. The playground was just the beginning. The water is thick with loaded barges. Tower Bridge looms in the background. This is London in the early 20th century. It looks like a painting, but it was a machine. This river was the beating heart of an empire. Every piece of coal and every crate of goods had to move through this water. The men working on those boats powered the industrial growth of the world. It was dirty and dangerous work. The bridge still stands today, but the world that built it is entirely gone. Look at the shape in the fog. The Eiffel Tower rises above a very empty Paris. The streets are mostly bare. The lampposts line a quiet road. The early 20th century feels heavy and melancholic here. We are used to seeing the city full of tourists and bright lights. But this image shows a different reality. It is a lonely place. The Great Iron Tower looks almost like a ghost watching over the wet streets. Cities have moods just like people do. And on this day, Paris was completely silent. A group of women sits by the ocean in the United States. It is the 1940s. They are holding synchronized poses. It looks like a magazine cover. But look closer at what this means. Modern swimwear was just becoming acceptable. For decades, women were forced into heavy and restrictive clothing even at the beach. This simple moment of leisure is actually a massive cultural shift. They are claiming the right to relax. They are claiming the right to exist in public on their own terms. It was a quiet revolution. A young woman is walking down the street. It is raining heavily in Japan, but she does not have an umbrella. She has taken her shoes off. She is holding them in her hands and walking entirely barefoot through the cold puddles. It is a strange choice. Most people would run for cover, but she is walking with complete ease. She does not care about the wet streets or the social rules. She just wanted to feel the water. It is a completely spontaneous moment trapped forever in the 20th century. Children and adults are packed onto a horse-drawn wagon. They are in the rural United States in the early 20th century. A simple wooden school building sits in the background. It looks like a hard life, and it was. Every person on that wagon had to work just to survive. But the school behind them tells another story. They wanted something better for their children. They built that school with their own hands. Education was their only ticket out of the dirt. They were betting their entire future on it. A man sits beside a young child. It is a formal studio portrait from the late 19th century. They are wearing their best clothes. The photograph is heavily damaged. The chemicals are breaking down. The faces are starting to fade away. Taking a photo back then was a rare and expensive event. This might be the only record that this man and child ever existed. And now even that record is slowly rotting away. Time destroys everything eventually, even our memories. A massive crowd of children is pressed against a shop window. It is the United Kingdom in the 20th century. They are looking at sweets. The excitement is intense. It seems like a happy memory, but think about the context. Sugar was a luxury. Many of these children lived in harsh conditions with very little money. A simple piece of candy was a massive event. They are staring through that glass at a world they cannot afford. The window separates them from the things they want most. A newlywed couple sits in a decorated car. A sign says "Just Married" on the back. It is a classic 20th century scene. They are smiling and driving away from their ceremony. It is the happiest day of their lives. But there is a strange weight to photos like this. We are looking at a moment frozen in time. We know that life gets hard. We know that the years ahead will bring pain and loss. But in this exact second, none of that matters yet. Look down at this urban maze. It is an aerial view from the 20th century. Neat little neighborhoods sit directly next to massive industrial facilities and airport runways. It is a perfect example of rapid expansion. The planners wanted efficiency. They wanted the workers close to the planes and the factories. But imagine living in those houses. Imagine the constant roar of jet engines shaking the windows day and night. Progress always comes with a heavy price for the people living at the bottom. Bright lights glare over a constructed set. A live audience sits in the dark watching the scene unfold. This is a television studio in the mid-20th century. Millions of people at home will watch this broadcast and think it is magic. But from this angle, the illusion is broken. You can see the heavy cables. You can see the massive cameras. You can see how fake the walls really are. Entertainment has always been a carefully constructed lie designed to keep us looking away from reality. A group of young women is sitting outside in the sun. They are wearing the bright colors and patterns of the 1970s. They are holding books and talking. It looks perfectly normal. But this was a time of massive cultural upheaval. The old rules were burning down. These women had freedoms their mothers could not even imagine. They were going to college. They were demanding their own space in the world. The relaxed atmosphere hides a very real shift in power.